want to say from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Thanks for the shirt, man. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome, brother.
Yeah, it's a very
Thanks for
awesome
having
shirt.
me.
Yeah, of course. It's going to be very exciting. I'm really excited to have you on today. But I wanted to start out. You got me a gift. I got to get you a gift. Let me know what you think of F3 Energy, the official sponsor of the podcast.
I tasted it already. It tastes pretty good. I like it 'cause it's not like too sweet.
Yeah.
I feel the caffeine already a little bit, you know?
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, it's got some good stuff in it, man.
So yeah, I like it. I like it already.
Yeah, I really do believe in the product. I mean, even with the BCAA, L-theanine, and ginseng Panax for mental clarity, it's really, really
Cool.
helpful, especially for podcasting. So,
Yeah.
but let's get into it, man. So tell me, I know you're from New Mexico. Is that correct?
Correct.
So yeah, run me through that. What was it like growing up there?
So I'm from New Mexico, from Santa Fe, New Mexico, but I lived in a few different places growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So all my family's from there, but actually I grew up, I spent 7 years of my childhood in Germany.
Whoa.
In
Germany.
Munich, Germany. Yeah. I don't know how we ended up. My mom's a language teacher. One thing led to another. We ended up staying there, for most of my childhood.
Oh, really? You speak German?
I do. At one point, I even forgot, I wasn't speaking English at home at all.
Really?
So we came back for a year so I wouldn't, forget English.
Yeah, I find it very interesting with you because one day I was outside of Acai Jungle, which is a great place, by the way. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Burbank. What is the street?
Victory, North Victory.
Victory, dude. It's awesome. Me and my girlfriend love it. We go there once a week. I saw you there. And do you speak Portuguese?
I speak Portuguese. Yeah. So, in Germany, but I went to high school in New York City. My dad lived there.
Oh, okay.
And then after high school, I got into jiu-jitsu and I moved down to Brazil and lived there for about 5 years.
Wow. So you started jiu-jitsu roughly around what, 17, 16?
I was 18.
Okay. And what got you into jiu-jitsu?
Some friends of mine at work, I was working at this restaurant, invited me to do a class. And this guy, my friend, he was smaller than me. He armbarred me 10 times.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, let's go again. And I was like, man, I got to learn this.
You just fell in love with it?
Yeah, for sure. I hadn't even seen any of the UFCs or anything, but I just loved the way it made me feel. And it's really brought out the best in me.
Well, yeah, that's one thing I really do admire about jiu-jitsu is its ability to let you know that you're able to win. And you could be bad at something at first, but then the growth and how it makes you feel.
Yeah.
And one thing I really admire about Legacy, now I always tell people who ask me to start their jiu-jitsu journey, where should I go? Where should I start? Is Legacy. The reason why is because the community you've built is so awesome. I can't even express. It makes it so comfortable, especially when it's your first time trying jiu-jitsu. It could be very intimidating. It's a martial art. A lot of gyms you walk into with high-level guys, there's fighters, experienced guys. You think you're going to get your ass kicked, and it can be really intimidating going against really well-fit people. You walk into your gym, it's a true home. It's community. So how did you get into that?
How did I get into building this community?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, when I was younger, jiu-jitsu really helped me as a young man. Just really brought out the best in me when just starting it for sure. But then also just made me all my some of my best friends still to this day, right, are from my jiu-jitsu days, And so I think I'm just following my heart. And wherever I go, kind of seems to happen because I'm spreading how I was taught, And just spreading that good energy of martial art training, but just the right way, doing it the right way. And so, we train hard. It's a high level training, good tough guys, but we take care of each other too.
Yeah.
And I think just that culture kind of, just grows.
Yeah.
Grows the right way.
What made you want to get into competitive jiu-jitsu and competing?
What made me? I don't know. I didn't plan on it. I just my friend was like, I'm going to do this tournament in LA. And I was like, okay, well, I want to go too. And then I lost a lot when I first started. And I just kind of, didn't like that feeling. And so I kept going until I won. Yeah.
Well, I found out about you about a couple years ago. I'd say 5 years ago, because I lived in Burbank. I'd say through my high school years. So I'm 21 now, so a couple years ago.
Nice.
But I found out about you through Mr. Coco Diaz.
Oh, no way.
How did that come about? How did you guys meet?
Man, that's an interesting story because, I was in New Mexico still the first time I met him.
Really?
They were filming the Longest Yard movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's interesting because I just read his book too. Like when he released it, I was like, oh
Mhm.
wow, I want to read this. And he was still going through so much stuff, but that was like a pivotal moment in his like career, you know,
Mhm,
because he got like a big break, kind of a break, you know. And so I met him at that time. He came into the gym. There was Ivan Salaverry. He fought in the UFC. Maurice Smith, and they were training this guy named Bob Sapp. He's like this huge giant guy. He had like these epic fights in Pride against Minotauro and some other guys. Anyway, he brought them, or he's so personable that he became friends with them, and then he came in with them.
Oh, okay.
And he told me this is back in like 2006. It's got to be 6, I think.
Oh, wow. So a long
So
time.
2006, he's like, I'm going to come in and train with you.
Mhm.
I was like, okay, you know, and he has that thing where like he connects with you, and I was like, okay, sounds good. Like that's his word, you know?
Yeah.
And he went back to LA, you know, after the whatever the shooting finished, the movie.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, man, like 2011, I see him at the, you know, right at the street. He's like, man, I almost turned around, but I locked eyes with him. And he came in and he never stopped.
Yeah.
And it was so much fun until he moved back to New Jersey with his family and stuff. You know?
Yeah, he's awesome. Hopefully one day I could get the chance to meet him. I almost caught him. I wanted to go to the New York UFC 302, Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier. I knew he was going to be there. I tried. Didn't work out. But one of the funniest stories I've ever heard was he used to say he used to get so high and he'd be so anxious in the gi that he would just run outside, throw up, piss his pants, and then come back to class. I mean, that guy's comedy, man. He's so lovable. I mean, how can you not love Joey?
What a just a special person. You know, he's like humble, like he's been humbled. That when you read his book and his story, you're like, wow, that you understand. But he's just so personable, and he's just such a good human.
Yeah.
Such a good human. He's taken his lumps in his life, and just. Man, he's just a great person, great friend. You know, he's old school. He's like, you don't text him, you call him. You know.
Yeah. Well,
Or he
speaking
calls
of
you.
stories, let's head back to your story. I mean, in MMA, I know you fought on the UFC. Give me your amateur fights to that UFC point. What was that like?
So I never had any amateur fights because it was early on in the MMA kind of world.
Yeah.
So my first fight was pro. I never thought I would fight. So I did jiu-jitsu and I competed at the highest levels. And then the King of the Cage, which is a big deal back in the day, they came to New Mexico. This is like back in 2002. And so I got my black belt and I was like, I want to test it out in the cage. And so I just called King of the Cage up. I was friends with Greg Jackson. We were friends. And he's like, yeah, they're coming to New Mexico. So I called him up. They put me on the card. And then I was like, how much you paying? They're like $300, something like that. But we give commission on ticket sales.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay. And so I got a bunch of tickets. I actually bought my credit card. I went to the casino.
Oh, yeah.
And I got the commission. And then they actually, because I sold so many tickets, it was my first time fighting in New Mexico, competing in New Mexico. And so I sold so many tickets that they moved me from the undercard to the semi-main event.
Oh, really? What was that like having everybody there support you?
That was amazing, man. Like from that first fight, second fight, and the second fight to the title fight was a big deal because it was me, it was all my students and everything, and then I was connected with Greg Jackson and the Jackson people, so it was like the whole stadium, the whole state we were representing like New Mexico.
Well, yeah, it's your hometown.
Yeah.
Besides Germany.
New Mexico's my home, for sure.
Do you ever go back there?
Even though I went back with my kids, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, New Mexico's my home, but man, LA is the longest place I've ever lived.
Really?
So, what do you call home? And it feels like home, I've been here my son is 16, so 16 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, so a long time. Yeah, I love it out here. It's beautiful, the weather.
Yeah.
And especially the people you meet out, at least in this part of LA, you get a lot of great people. And I mean, that helps you with your community a lot. That's one thing I've seen.
For sure.
I've rolled at your place a couple times and I've already met some people who I still talk to this day, and I haven't been there in like 6 months.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just to show the type of characters you meet. Yeah. And plus all these guys have trained all around the world. You meet people who trained here, and you somehow know them through a training partner. Yeah. So it's very interesting to see that. But Now, I really do admire you not only for your combat sports skills, because you're a long-term athlete at the highest possible level, but you're a businessman.
Mm.
You got a lot going on. So how did you venture out into that from being a fighter?
I don't know. I think I come from just a really good family.
Mhm.
And they're not stupid. They're like pretty smart people, and they're hard workers.
Mm.
And they've done good things like for the community. And so I think that's who I am, and I just follow their footsteps. I don't plan on businesses, this, that. I just follow my heart.
Yeah.
I'm like service. How can I help people?
Yeah.
Really, that's my mindset, and of course, my passion is that. And so just interconnects. And so like everything I do is kind of connected to that. You can see it from my podcast, from, the jiu-jitsu, the gym. We do Muay Thai, jiu-jitsu, attack fit, which is a piece that I think really can help everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then we even have a recovery center called Revive.
Yeah.
Next to that, where you cold plunge, saunas, and we have like a stretch therapist as well, assisted stretching.
Yeah, that's
and of course, that's Acai Jungle Cafe.
Oh yeah, of course that's my favorite. I need to get into Revives. I want to try the cold plunge.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't got the chance to try an official cold plunge, but I think it'd be very interesting. How has that helped you with your recovery?
Man, like especially when you do sauna and cold plunge, it's like you just feel so good.
Really?
How has it helped me? Listen, like, I don't even know how we work, and I think not the smartest people in the world don't know really how we work, but just that cold exposure. You feel like it disconnects you, right? Because of the coldness of it.
Yeah.
But doing something hard is also good for you, right? Like challenging yourself, like, not freaking out, just doing it one, but then two, like controlling your mind, right? Because you overbreathe, you panic, right? Because it's like a shock to your system. And then just that cold exposure, however that works, just causes all these like things to happen internally, right? And because of that, reduces inflammation, causes your body to really like just work properly.
Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu has done that for me. It's been really life-changing, especially in just combat sports, from wrestling to jiu-jitsu. And I just found peace in jiu-jitsu, especially no-gi jiu-jitsu.
Did you wrestle?
Yeah. I wrestled for, I'd say, 3 years, and then I transferred into jiu-jitsu.
Nice.
But
Where'd you wrestle at?
I wrestled right here in Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, pretty close. And I trained all around, even personal, outside at clubs and stuff.
What years did you
It was 2021 to 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, so
recently. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
Actually 2022 I graduated. So yeah, just 2 seasons.
Got it. Yeah, my daughter started wrestling. We just went to Fargo.
Oh yeah.
This weekend, so it's like the best of the country.
How's that?
It's been phenomenal. Yeah, it's been so much fun. We have like kind of like a little wrestling club in the gym now because of her.
Yeah.
She has her shout out to her amazing coach, Russian coach, Ostimir. And then, I'm setting up the Hoover High School wrestling. Like, so we're going to be a powerhouse.
That's going to be a big
coming out, you know? We're going to have like a legit squad.
Yeah, one place I really liked is Hayastan too, as well, with Gokor Simichian. I mean, his lineage of that judo and wrestling dominance. I mean, it's been very impactful in a lot of people's games, just like your jiu-jitsu. So I wanted to understand, with having a kids who obviously grew up with the most badass dad ever, who is, in my opinion, the coolest guy in the world for many reasons. What was it like raising them and watching them grow into the sport? Have you kind of forced them into the sport, or was it just a natural growth?
My son is 16. I'm sorry, 17. What am I saying? And I've been living here for 17 years. He just turned 17, but still, 17. And my girls I have twin girls. They're 15.
Oh, okay.
So, man, I did not force it on them, at all. But I did ask them to just be consistent,
Yeah.
And so I was just consistent, and I let them do other things, especially all the kids, but my girls did a lot of other things. And now, I've done some courses with USA Wrestling and stuff, and it's actually pretty good, the courses that they offer, just on the specialization, not doing it too early, and allowing them to, their bodies and their brains and everything to develop to do different things. Like they did dance, they did like gymnastics, they did like different things growing up, but they always had consistent jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And actually it wasn't until the pandemic but really all of them, that's all they had.
Yeah, it's true.
And then one of my daughters, who's like, she loves to compete and she has that fire inside of her, was like she started competing and really like getting after it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, how proud does that make you to see her, especially going to
man.
that event?
Yeah, it's the wrestling, yeah, for sure. But also, man, it's like a dream come true, really.
Yeah.
Because it's not me, and I want to. It wasn't me. Like, of course, I support her with everything she needs, you know. But it's really exciting, you know, because I didn't have infrastructure or support behind me.
Mm-hmm.
I just did it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I slept in airports. It was hard, man. It was hard, you know. I really struggled. But I'm really excited to see her reach her potential in whatever she does, and that goes for all my kids, you know. Just support them and see them reach their potential and be happy, strong, you know, good people.
Well, yeah, it's words from a good dad. What was your breakthrough moment in life?
Breakthrough? That's a good question. I'll tell you a jiu-jitsu story. When I first started competing, I lost because it was like pretty much there was no white belt division even, right? So I just jumped in. These guys were like really seasoned kind of competitors.
Yeah.
So I didn't know like how it worked. You know, like I said, I had no infrastructure. I was a kid from New Mexico, like jiu-jitsu, and then I went all in and moved to Brazil and went against the best, and you know, here I was. But I actually lost for like 13 tournaments in a row, which was like a couple of years.
Oh wow.
And it was really hard to go back and tell, hey, how'd it go? I lost. Imagine that, you know? But there was just a little voice inside of me. It's like, oh, try again. You know, you're upset. Well, you know, but you bounce back and try again, you know? And man, just because I didn't give up, like after like it was like 13 tournaments, something like that, I won. And I was like one of the best in the world. And I wouldn't have known that if I would have quit at any of the times, you know? And that lesson really, it's worth more than any medal, any trophy that I've ever won, you know, because it's just invaluable of just never giving up, setting a goal and never giving up, you know? And yeah, the losing and not giving up, you know, and coming through on the other side.
Well, it definitely builds character. There's no doubt about that. I mean, that's why I said I love jiu-jitsu, because it really teaches you about yourself. And especially if you're going through things, for a lot of people at home who maybe don't have the best home life.
Shout out to this F3 energy drink. It's good, man.
It's good.
I'm sipping on it.
Yeah, it's really good, man. I love it. It's
it.
awesome. I really, really do love it. I believe in it. I can't wait to try the rest of the flavors. Ooh. I might have to get you a variety pack sent to your house.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. But back to what I was saying is, jiu-jitsu has really allowed a lot of people to change in the best way possible mentally. And a lot of people go through mental struggles and mental health issues. But if you just surround yourself by like-minded people who aren't maybe in the best position but want to grow, jiu-jitsu, in my opinion, is the best place for that, because it teaches you how to fail and that you could get better from losing. And that there's not always a rock bottom. There's always a light to the end of every tunnel, which has been super inspirational with a lot of stories. I mean, that's how I grew up. I grew up with a lot of frustrations in my life and points where I wanted something and I couldn't get it because it felt like it was out of my reach. But taking it into your own hands and starting to do things, it's almost like your dream's coming true. I mean, my dream has always been to be either on a podcast or have my own show and doing MMA and then doing commentary, which hopefully eventually I'll get the chance to do. But it's like I'm starting to see that unfold. And it's all thanks to never giving up and having this mindset of failure.
Going for it, having the courage to step forward into it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's insecure. Everybody has their doubts. Everybody doubts themselves.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But it's like having the courage to do it anyway.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And then keeping at it when, you know, you have haters, there's whatever people, we're not worrying about what people think, like follow your heart and stay true to it, right?
Yeah, that was one of my hardest things. Is it took me a little while to start the social media thing just due to my insecurity of what people would think. So whether what people would think I would look or how I would say things and just the overall picture of putting yourself out there, I was very insecure about. And it wasn't until I realized, like, I've reached a point in my life where I feel comfortable with myself thanks to jiu-jitsu and combat sports and people around me who've supported me and pushed me to just go out there. So now I don't care what people say. You could say whatever you is, but you can't back it up.
Yeah.
So
that's it. It's well said, right? Because however it works, you know, just like with the tribe, there's this great book that I always talk about. It's called Tribe, and it's this guy wrote on these like military guys, like post-traumatic stress, you know, but it's basically like, you know, he studied all these different guys like tribes and Indians and just these situations. And basically we all need three things. One, we need to be good at something.
Yeah.
And if you stick with grappling jiu-jitsu, if you stick with it, man, that's the teacher is bad, the coach is bad, right? If you're not gonna get better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If you show up to class, you're gonna get better.
No, 100%.
Right? And two, like being authentic, being yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, help but be yourself when you're, like grappling and funny positions. And come on, you can't take it so serious, right?
No, 100%.
But being yourself and good, bad, or whatever, you just you're able to be yourself, and it's very important. That's why people get sick, right? And the third thing he says is just being connected with others.
Yeah.
And I think all those three things, man, you're a strong person if you have those things. And I love that I have the opportunity to maybe really understand what I do every day, to have that a place for the community, for people, in LA, for example, right? We have 10 million people, but man, we're all so disconnected. We're all on our phones. We're not connected. And so to have a place to kind of really become a good, strong person, even if you're a strong person, but just, stay strong, stay healthy, mentally, physically, everything else.
I think that's super important. I mean, you first got to take care of your mental. I mean, that's the first step to getting started in anything, is mentally checking in and just showing up. That's 99% of people's issues in life with anything.
That's it.
There's not a single thing you cannot do. And there's this quote that I absolutely love. I wish I could get it tattooed on my forehead. How big would you dream if you knew you couldn't fail? That just speaks so much volume. And it truly shows you that you can't just limit yourself, and you have to keep it pushing. And that there's always, like how I was saying earlier, light to every tunnel. I mean, there's always going to be a victory story, but you get to create your own story, which is so inspiring. I mean, I was at UFC International Fight Week just recently, this last June, late June, and that's when I realized, like, I felt like I could do it. Seeing all these fighters have such a big fan base and meeting all these people who are just sitting in hours of lines just to meet one person. And it's like, eventually there's going to be a day where I'm up there and people are going to meet me because I want influence. I don't care about money. I don't care about anything else but influencing people and spreading a positive voice and creating a community like yourself. I mean, the community you've built really inspired me to do podcasting, because I hope that there's one day where I'm walking down the street and somebody notices me for this and says, thank you. Your show has really, really transformed my life for the better.
Oh, awesome, man. That's it. Like athletes, right? Athletes, and we're talking about UFC and MMA. They're inspiring, man. They're inspiring because, it's bigger than them, right? Their example that they set, like, whatever they do, people do, like one of the fighters would do, like they have a great fight, or they win, or they lose and they bounce back. Just, we're all like connected and feel that, and we can all learn lessons from just watching them on TV or in person, right?
No, absolutely. How has that been for you, being influential? Because you're influential in a lot of people's lives, and a lot of people are thankful for you, just as myself. I mean, I've been to your gym and I've seen the way people react and have such high level respect for you, which speaks volumes about your character, and especially your genuineness. I mean, even you taking time out of your day to come on the show, it really does speak a lot about your character and what you've been able to do. So give me your thoughts on that.
How does it feel for me to
just be this person that you've become?
Man, like, I don't think about it. I just try to stay true to who I am, and whatever happens with that happens. Like I said, I just try to stay focused on what is good for what I'm passionate about, and just happens to be like what I think of myself, and I enjoy things that really help people and make people better people.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. What are your future goals? What are some things you got
Future
checked?
goals? Oh, man, I want to I had my birthday last week, and you're not supposed to make a wish and tell or whatever, but man, I just want my kids to be happy and good. I want them to like be good people and strong people and happy people. I just want my kids to be good.
Yeah, well, give me what it's like to be a parent, because I'm 21 and I grew up with divorced parents, so I never really had that strong connected family life. Obviously, I'm close with both of my parents. They're separated, but it's never been that inspiration through just a single figure, which I would hope that you would emulate to your kids. Give me like what it's like to be a father in the first part. How has that changed your life?
It's a big loaded question, right? Man, like You know, I didn't have my parents were separated as well, and so I had the opportunity to live with both, which was amazing. I got to live with my dad during high school. That's why I moved to New York.
Oh, okay.
And then the rest, my mom, you know, my mom raised me when I was young, till like 11, 12 years old. So I didn't have that like mom, dad thing, but I had amazing grandparents, like my mom's parents.
Yeah.
My dad was actually an orphan. And so he struggled. He had zero. He had nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but he just has this heart, and he's had some amazing like influential people, like teachers. Like my grandmother was one of his teachers, and so these amazing people in his life that have helped him, you know, go the right way. So long going around, you know. But going back to the question, what was the question? Being a parent, right?
Yeah,
How is it being a parent? I think being a parent is just doing my best, right? Doing my best every day to just show up. Like you're talking about, the hardest thing is to show up. Not having whatever, you can make excuses, but I think just the main thing is to just show up, you know. To see your kids be born, it's just like everything changes, right? Because it's not just about you. It's not about my career. Yeah. It's about my kids being like the best they can be, you know? Yeah. And of course, like Legacy and my students, like I feel the same, like my kids in a way too, you know? Yeah. So it's intertwined. But it's interesting too, because at the same time, like I put a lot of time into my students, a lot of time into coaching and cornering guys, you know, my whole life. And it wasn't until about 3-4 years that I stopped doing evening classes, you know. I'm still around because it's nice because my kids are training.
Yeah, of course.
Just so I could be at home with them. But you kind of sacrifice a lot too, you know. So anyway, it's a long story, going around the question.
It's okay.
But you know, I think just showing up. How is it? It's an amazing thing, and I think everybody should be a parent. And I think yeah, it's like that's what life's about.
Yeah, well, if there's one thing that it's kind of close to parenting for you, like how you're saying with your students. I know there's been a lot of kids who've been there since they were young, and seeing them grow and maybe transcend into martial arts. How has that been for you, watching these kids from a young age come into the gym to now being full-grown 18, 19-year-old students of yours who...
Man, the biggest compliment I can get in my life is not just having kids grow up and then have their own... So like they were teenagers, have them grow up and then bring their own kids to come train with me.
Yeah, that's a full circle.
You know, that's like the biggest. I feel that old, but to have that happen is like the biggest compliment. You can say any words you want, but for somebody to be, you know, can't wait. You know, they're counting the days for them to come bring their kid in, and then their dad is a black belt. It's just like it's amazing, man. It's amazing. That's what it's about, right? That's what it's about. That's for me. I'm like living the dream.
Yeah. Well, that's how I expect to be one day, is that dad with the black belt. Eventually, obviously, the jiu-jitsu course, it takes quite a while and there's a lot of growth, especially when you're busy. But if there's one thing I've learned is there's times in everybody's career where they stop. Has that been like that for you? Or have you been showing up every single day since the day you started? Or has there been gap years?
In jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Man, pretty much, you know, pretty much. Like I'm super annoying. Like I'm just fucking consistent, you know? Yeah. I'm fucking consistent in whatever I do. Even when I'm vacation, when I was younger, I was like, I was always thinking about it. I have a brain to like, not obsess, but kind of, you know, on things. You know, I've been lucky. I haven't had too many crazy injuries. I've been hurt as well. But
what's your worst?
What's my worst? I've hurt everything, right? I broke my orbital. I've broken my different parts of my body, you know. I don't know, like it's kind of funny, but I hurt my big toe before my UFC debut, like a week before. Oh. And I had no movement on it. Yeah. And so I just one of those freak things, you know. And it kind of, you know, bothered me for like years. It's a little bit better now, you know, but it's like a big toe. You don't think it's like a big deal. Yeah. But it's actually a lot of your movement, or most of your movement comes from that.
Oh yeah, even balance placement too. Like
for sure. Orbital, that was interesting because it's on your face, and then like I was missing some vision.
Oh,
for a little bit, and they were like, it may or may not come back, but it came back, thankfully.
Oh, luckily. Yeah. What was that like, not being able to see?
Well, I could see, but I couldn't. If I looked down into a certain spot, it was like black. You know.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my dad is blind in one eye. He's kind of like Shara Bullet Magomedov. He's a one-eye king. He's a one-eye lion. So, but yeah, he said the same thing. It's like black. It's just, you don't see nothing.
Yeah.
In my head, I see it as an invisible space or like a clear coat over it. But yeah, that's interesting. So you got, well, thankfully you got your sighting back. But I wanted to transform into the growth of jiu-jitsu as a sport. Because obviously, what year did you say you got your black belt?
2001.
Okay, so I was born in 03. So by the time you were already a 2-year black belt.
I'm you know what? Age is a mindset, I feel like.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
I would agree. I would agree to an extent.
You're still young. You're still young. Of course, your body says different and gravity and everything else is different. But my grandfather, my mom's dad, he was in his 80s, and I got to spend a lot of time with him towards the end of his life. And man, one of the things that I really appreciated about him was his mindset. He was like young at heart till the end. And I was like, I want to be like that.
Well, yeah, there's one guy even at your gym. I mean, what is he? How
Savage,
old is he?
right? Alan,
yeah,
exactly.
I rolled with him. He's crazy.
Yeah, he's crazy. Yeah. So he's 78 as well.
Wow.
And he's getting ready to compete. He's remarkable guy, right? We have that little short film we did on him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's never too late to be a savage.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, how old was he when he started?
Late 60s.
Late 60s. I know. I try to get a lot of people from work or friends, and I'm like, dude, come in. Let's just roll. Have a great time. I'm telling you, love it. Well, I'm 40 or I'm 35 or I don't want to hear the excuse because I know guys even at the gym I train at out here in Palm Springs, there's guys who are 45, 50, even retired guys who are coming in and training every single day.
So it keeps you young.
Yeah,
it keeps you young. It's when you stop is when you have issues and
of course.
Things happen that you don't want.
Yeah, even with the growth of the sport, how do you feel about the amount of gyms that just been popping up and how elevated the grappling's become?
It's great, man. It's great. You know, the more people that are doing it, the better. And I think just to say a piece on the students, find a good place that you like, you know, that resonates with you.
Yeah.
A good positive place where you can really thrive and be your best, the best version of yourself.
Do you think jiu-jitsu makes better people?
100%. Yeah, of course. 1,000%.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that. You do it, you become a better person.
Yeah, 100%. There's even a quote from Craig Jones, which I don't know if you're familiar, but he says,
of course.
Yeah, he goes,
Craig Jones Invitational.
Oh, I'm so excited. We'll get into that. But Craig Jones goes, I don't fucking hang around jiu-jitsu guys because they're fucking weirdos. But they're awesome to roll with and be with in the gym. But outside of the gym, there's some psychos in it, which I've came across where that's what I really got inspired by jiu-jitsu is there's a lot of guys that I'm friends with now that I wouldn't be friends with. But because of jiu-jitsu, we all hang and we all laugh and we have such great times. And now we're friends outside of jiu-jitsu. So that's what's really interesting about it is a lot of people you don't think you would be friends with in the outside world. You come to this place and then you're friends. Yeah. And then you learn about people and it allows you to open up to talking to more people and hearing more people's stories, which I love, especially just sitting there and being able to listen to people. I mean, like you. I mean, I'm very inspired right now just to get to sit here and just give your thoughts on everything. But CGI, $1 million. What do you think?
You know, like I'm friends with Mo, the ADCC promoter. We got stem cells together. We spent like the whole week together. And so I know how much he's put into it. And he's really elevated the sport. Yeah. And I went to was it last year, 2 years ago, the ADCC in Vegas at the UNLV, what's that arena called? Anyway, the UNLV arena in Vegas, bro. Like it was amazing, man. They had like the Pride announcer, the UFC, Bruce Buffer. Yeah. Like no, I got fireworks. It was ridiculous. You know?
Yeah.
ADCC Hall of Fame. Like they really he really crushed it. They crushed it. Yeah. It's not even just him. It's him and Seth, like a bunch of the guys. So I know how much they put into it, and they really elevated the sport. And I was really proud of that because, man, you go back a little bit. They had the ADCC in China, and man, the mats were like coming apart. Yeah, that's the world championship. Yeah. So man, from that to this, like amazing. Now, so when I say that because CGI, it's cool, right? It's cool, and he's hilarious. Craig Jones is hilarious, man.
He's a good character.
At first, I was kind of like a little bit like, man, why does it have to be on the same weekend ish? You know? Yeah. because it's kind of hurting the sport in a way. But then I started seeing his posts, and I was like, you know what, man, this is good for the sport. You know,
Yeah, he's
It's
good-hearted.
good for the sport. Well, it's good for the sport because it gets a lot of eyes on it. It gets buzz, gets people talking about it. Do I see it something that's going to be sustainable? No. But man, some of the guys are going to get $1 million, and who knows what happens from it? Maybe some sheik, one of the sheiks, like, you know what? Like, you're right. Why are we paying $10,000 at this point? Back in the day, in the late '90s, when they first had the ADCC,
Abu Dhabi's.
yeah, in Abu Dhabi, they had, you know, $10,000 was a lot of money.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this inflation, and everything else now.
Yeah.
But it was a big deal, and they would bet on you and stuff, and you would get all these different gifts, and it was a big deal. Because back then, like, to get anything like them, it was you know, there was no prize money, you know.
Yeah, no way.
So that was a big deal, but it hasn't evolved, and especially how Mo has elevated the sport. You know, Craig Jones he's right. Like, you know, things should have shifted up with that. But you know, I'm not the guy behind the scenes. I'm not the chief financial officer of the operation, so I don't know. You know, but I think it's good, man. I think it's good. I think it's good for the sport. You know, after seeing all his posts, bro, he went to Ukraine.
Yeah,
He's firing off like a missile to blowing up a truck, dude. Like, who does that? You know, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. At first I was like, I don't want it to hurt the sport. Why take away this? But then it's gonna elevate the whole sport.
Well, I'm excited to see him and Gabby Garcia go at it. That's gonna be cool,
Yeah,
especially if they're
hilarious.
implementing the pit from Karate Combat. I think it's going to make it really interesting because
Is that what they're using?
yeah, it does punish you for backtracking and stalling, which a lot of guys do on the mats.
Yeah.
They run out of bounds, and especially the wrestlers, they'll push you out of there. But this, I mean, we've seen Craig Jones
You're
throw up
trapped.
that triangle. Yeah,
You're
you're trapped.
trapped.
You're in there. So I'm excited to see him and Gabby Garcia.
Fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, even with jiu-jitsu, one thing I really have admired is people have been making careers out of this.
Mhm.
And I've seen a lot of grapplers go and make live switches. Makes us so inspiring, and it's kind of like a full circle moment.
Mhm.
One guy I really admire is Gordon Ryan. From what he's been able to do in the sport, to Mass being the king, being the number one, to the flow grappling, to who's number one,
Yeah.
to winning by an armbar and then pulling out a box and it says armbar in it. And he's really, really inspiring to the sport, especially to a lot of people, just like
Sure.
I would say all these everyday people. So what would you think about Gordon Ryan stepping out of ADCC and going to Craig Jones? I know it won't happen, but what would you
I
feel
think?
like that?
I don't think it would be cool because of the relationship he has with Mo.
Yeah.
Like, that'd be whack. I'd lose all my. You know, there's no way he wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah.
Because he's about the relationships and stuff. He's like super loyal to John Danaher. It's like it's bigger than that, you know.
John's an interesting one. Have you met him?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. What was it like meeting him?
Yeah, he's a genius, you know. But he chooses to do this because it's passion.
Yeah. I mean, I heard he wears rash guards on the street. Is this true?
It's true, very true. To weddings, yeah.
To weddings?
Wear a rash guard to Matt Serra's wedding, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's an interesting, unique guy. I saw him on Joe Rogan, and just even the way he talks and elaborates things, and his 3-step jiu-jitsu process on the elimination of the legs to the usage of body and controlling your opponent in submission. It's very, very interesting on his thought process. And I think what he's done with the New Wave guys, I've even attended a seminar with the New Wave Jiu-Jitsu, Abraham. He was showing a leg locking seminar.
Nice.
He's awesome. Those guys are really, really intelligent, high level. How do you feel about the leg locking game?
I mean, I'm a leg locker, so, you know, I think you have to just adapt and evolve. Back in the not early, but the 90s, people would boo if you did a leg lock in jiu-jitsu and grappling, jiu-jitsu more with the gi. They would boo if you did a leg lock because you were like cheating. You didn't have the skills to pass the guard, you know?
Yeah.
And then it evolved, and then ADCC, and that you do whatever works, right? So I think it's great, man. I think it's great. I think everything should be legal. I think you should be able to do, you know, be free, you know, to do everything. And it's been fun, man. It's been fun to see different tricks and see what really works and see the sport evolve.
Yeah, there's a lot of translations into leg locking game and variations, and obviously all the attacks that you can have. How do you feel about the white belts in tournaments? Like, I'm pretty sure ADCC white belts are allowed to reap. What do you feel about that?
It's always like there's always a you know, safety thing, right? Because you don't want somebody to blow out somebody's knee doing a heel hook when he doesn't really understand what he's doing, or you know, when you know, so you want to take care of the athletes, right? But there's definitely a line. There's definitely a thing like where it's like, dude, you're black belt. Like you should know how to defend everything, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So I think I think white belts, brand new people, like you should protect them. But once you become more semi-pro, like you gotta go into the fire and you
put yourself out there.
Yeah, you gotta figure it out.
That's what happened to me. And then I got leg locked, and it's weird because you don't feel it until it's there. And luckily, I have a pretty flexible right knee, not my left one. My left one's stiff as a bird. I can't even attempt practice on this one. I'm always using my right for hyperextension. But it's a weird feeling, and especially when they reap it. I mean, one time I was rolling and the guy reaped it, and it was just such an uncomfortable position. And my knee was inflamed for like 4 days. Luckily, no tears, no problems, but that could cause some serious damage.
Yeah, it's not necessary. It's not necessary. So I think, like, learn the game, learn your technique. Like, just stay healthy, man.
Yeah. Give me your training room etiquette.
Training room etiquette, as far as
for new guys.
For new guys, what I tell people, like white belts coming in, dude, like, don't worry about winning and losing. Just come in, depending on the guy. If he's like some, state champ wrestler, dude, like,
come on,
you want him to. My thoughts are this: like, you want him to learn the basic things. Don't take that away from him. Learn the basic jiu-jitsu things. So you should still do the fundamentals. But then if he needs some more stimulation, so throw him into the fire and have him train, so he gets both, right? But for a beginner guy, new guy, white belt that doesn't have a background. Don't make it about winning and losing. Just go in there and go through the motions. Like, be patient, trust the process. Minimal or specific training only, because you don't need your knee getting bent back because you don't know how to move.
Yeah,
like you rest a little bit, so you have a little better understanding of where your body can go and stuff. But dude, like, just do specific training, do very minimal training, learn your techniques, go through the motions, and keep showing up. Be consistent. At least twice a week is good, man.
Yeah.
But of course, if you can do more, great. But just twice a week. If you're like a, busy guy, whatever, like twice a week, and be consistent. And that's it, and success will come.
Well, yeah. If there's one thing that's been successful, it's TAC Let's get into that. I've been very interested.
Yeah.
I've tried a couple workouts. We've even had guys on my gym who've implemented TAC and using a lot of the dumbbells, cowbells, and even
clubbells,
even the stick and going back. It's really hard. It's difficult. It's a very cardiovascular and muscle tenet heavy that you don't realize that you have to use. So where did that start?
So this guy, one of my mentors, Scott Sonnet, Coach Scott Sonnet, he was a Sambo guy, actually, speaking of leg locks.
Yeah.
And actually, like Eddie Cummings, have you heard of Eddie Cummings?
Yeah, of course.
So
where did he go?
I don't know. But he gave credit to Scott Sonnet, actually. He has this whole like leg lock system, mastering the saddle. And so he was like a Sambo guy. And then he got some kind of scholarship where he got to go to the Soviet Union back in the day and learn all these different things. And he got armbarred, and he's like, how can I get my connective tissue stronger? And he's just like this. He's like kind of not dyslexic, but not autistic, but he's like dyslexic, He's dyslexic, and he's just his pattern recognition is different level, and he's just like genius person, And so he put that brain into just made it pretty much like, I look at it like it's this. He made all the movement like into like a martial art, and the technique and the fight is keeping your technique under stress. And so that's something that you can apply to everything in your life, and you can use it to make your jiu-jitsu better, wrestling better, Muay Thai, or your life better, whatever you're doing, because structure is structure, breath is breath,
Absolutely.
And all those things translate to everything. So yeah, man, it's a holistic, like a full everything system, every part of your body is interconnected.
Yeah.
And gives you better understanding of yourself.
Oh.
And like I said, learning structure in your body, your breath, and the quality of your movement, and all that stuff matters for your brain. It's like applied neuroscience.
Yeah, no, it is for sure.
You can read a book, you can hear all these podcasts, but just do what I tell you to do, and you're gonna get the benefits. You're gonna learn it by doing it.
No, absolutely. So, what is this seminar you have coming up?
This weekend, I have a certification, clubhouse certification. So we teach people how to kind of use the tool better. The club bell is like the Skasan also created the tool.
Yeah.
The old school wrestlers from Iran, and they have these big wooden ones.
Yeah.
And so he saw that when he went to excuse me,
Okay.
Soviet Union, he saw these guys from like Tajikistan or something move these things around. He's like, he was trying to figure out how he can get his connective tissue stronger.
Yeah.
His elbows and stuff. And so he saw them, is like, put his brain to it and created the club bell.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And so it's just master of the club bell. And he, before the brand is TacFit, but the system is like this thing called circular strength training.
Yeah.
And it's like excuse me.
It's okay.
There's the into flow, so moving your joints around each other. Flow fit, which is like kind of like a moving yoga, and the club bell. But it's the principles behind all these things that make everything work, you know? And it's just like, we have like the best coaches, like the best super, super high quality people involved in the system. Cause sometimes I'm like, man, am I crazy? Like, why am I so crazy about this stuff? And just, you see like, you just meet such high quality people that really understand the body and everything. So it's like, okay, like I'm surrounded by really high level people.
What is a science? Definitely. I mean, I'm very intrigued by the idea of it. I definitely want to try a class someday. Yeah. I mean, it sounds awesome.
You should.
I've only done a couple implications of it, like I said, at the gym, but I really do want to sit through a whole class and try. How has that helped your jiu-jitsu on like a day-to-day basis?
Man, it just makes you better aware of your body, right?
Really?
And so, for example, like we do proper warm-ups, and then we do some activation, and then we do the workout. And it's only about 20 minutes, right? Really, you know? Mm-hmm. And then you do a cool down at the end. That you compensate, you pull yourself or flex opposite sides of your body to turn off the muscles. For example, if you go to the gym and you squat, okay, and then you're done, and then you go into your car and you drive home, the reason why you get so sore is because those muscles keep working.
Oh.
You turn them on and they keep working. So what you want to do after you work out is you want to turn those muscles off. And you do that by flexing the opposite side muscles, like they're like agonist, antagonist muscles, you know? For example, your bicep and tricep. Yeah. You know, for your tricep to flex, you have to kind of relax your bicep. Yeah. And vice versa. So just in your body parts, you have to do that, right? So for the squat, you want to, compensate, turn off those muscles, and then you don't get so sore. Or if you do get sore, you just keep releasing tension in the body with different, stretches and stuff.
Or head to revive.
I mean, all of the above, really, because I feel like you need to have some basic understanding so you know what to do. It takes time, too, to learn. It's a skill. Then revive for sure helps, you can kind of little hack, that you can do, because we have people that stretch you out, release tension in the body because your ligaments, tendons, everything is connected into your, like, the muscle belly and things like that. So everything's interconnected, and, I'm super passionate about it. That's why we have Revive. Like, why would I have a recovery place right next door to the gym? It's like, no, man, to be your best, you need to recover. You get stronger in the recovery. You get stronger in the recovery. Yeah, for sure. You need to lift weights and do things, but like you get stronger in the recovery.
Yeah.
When you go home, when you sleep good, you eat good, and so the harder you can recover, the more you can train, the harder you can train, the stronger you're going to become. Yeah. You get stronger in the recovery. I'm still wrapping my head around it,
Yeah, it's a very complex idea, even the body, because everyone moves different. Everyone has their own recovery process. Some people are just
most people
athletes.
don't know. Most people don't know how to recover. Let's be honest, Even high level, elite level athletes, they don't know how to recover because stuff isn't that new, it hasn't been around for so long. From my day, it was like, balls to the wall. Like nobody talked about recovery. Nobody showed me these things.
Yeah.
I wish I would have had these things when I was younger. I could have prevented a lot of injuries, and I would have had better performances.
Yeah. Well, I think that's super important for me, especially in my generation. I mean, that process of building your body up to when you're 30 and 40, you can properly take care of it, because we've seen now that 30, 40-year-olds are having issues that they shouldn't be having at their age.
Well, we all sit down too much. We all on the computers and cell phones and blah, 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 technology stuff. And it's the same thing. If you don't use it, you lose it, Yeah. So just building that better awareness in the body and brain, body, everything. Building that better awareness of self allows you to like, oh, I need to move my body. Oh, I need to do this, So you have tools in your toolbox to take care of it,
What's your mental getaway?
My mental getaway, man, I love what I do, So it's like it drives my wife crazy. I like to travel, and when I travel, I end up doing this stuff anyway.
yeah,
It's crazy. I'm like
Psycho.
super annoying. Yeah, like I'm just like so consistent. But I like to travel. I like to see different things. I like people, man. I like people, and I love to connect with them through jiu-jitsu or tac fit and these things that can really help you.
Now, my favorite subject, food. How is your diet like? Because you're very in shape, and you've been in shape almost your whole life.
Man, like it's funny because I was like, man, I had a 6-pack. When I was training for my excuse me, my level 2 for tac fit. I was in like phenomenal like shape. I was like and once I started working with tac fit like more full time, I had to do meetings and I had to be in front of the computer more, and I was doing like less things, So I'm working out less, and then one thing leads to another, right? Of like eating a little, enjoying life a little bit, and so I move my body, I'm consistent, so like I want to enjoy life, life is short, right?
Yeah.
I want to enjoy life, but at the same time, you don't need to overindulge, right? Yeah. So I think that's it's always that balance, right? And plus, I think when you get older, like you don't need as much, you don't need to eat as much, and you can do less with more.
Well, yeah, absolutely, and that's what I like about jiu-jitsu. You can do less with more, and I've learned to the point where I'm well trained enough where I can just roll around, do technique. I don't have to use strength, because when I first started, I'm a spaz. I'm trying to out muscle the guy. I'm trying to roll around heavy and pass and use all my cardio. But to slow down and take your time with the step-by-step tool and format and flowing and getting to that point where you can have fun with it.
Yeah.
And that's what I really, really do admire.
One of the biggest thing that I think jiu-jitsu from, my 30 years, whatever, of just living it and doing it, that you get from jiu-jitsu, of course, the relationships, but it's the lifestyle, right? Like wrestling, I love wrestling, man. I'm like, all my Instagram is like wrestling right now, because I'm like, I've been watching so much of it. And I'm just like, oh, I love this. Oh my God, that was crazy. Just from my daughter just being in it. And wrestling's amazing, man. What an exciting sport. It's so, talk about athleticism. These guys are the most, like, for me, most athletic guys in the world,
most
people
in shape, everything.
Yeah, everything.
It's hard.
Oh, dude, like talk about character and just grit and just I want those guys on if there's like, it's the end of the world, and you got to go against, I want wrestlers, with jiu-jitsu, right? I'll teach them the jiu-jitsu. But it's short time, man, short time, and so jiu-jitsu is like something you can do for the rest of your life, You can have it part of your life, stay in shape, keep moving, brotherhood, sisterhood, friendships, lifelong friendships, and wrestling is like, high school, hopefully college a little bit, but then what's next, and jiu-jitsu allows you to keep going and stay healthy and do the right things that you need.
Yeah, jiu-jitsu is definitely a good one. Now, since we're on a podcast, you have your own show. What was the whole point in trying to get into podcasting? Have you always been the talkative person, or introvert, extrovert? What?
Not at all.
What intrigued you?
Not at all. Some of my friend was telling me like, oh man, so many people, you should do a podcast. I was like, nah. And then one of my good friends, Elliot Marshall, he fought in the UFC. I did a podcast with him, and a bunch of people like hit me up. Oh man, listen to your podcast, is amazing. Da, da, da. And I was just hanging out with my friend, right? And so I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like I shared that conversation with everybody. And then people learn from it, right? Yeah. And it allowed me to connect with my friend, and it allowed me to connect with others as well that I wasn't even thinking about. So then I was like, I should do that, And then it was before the pandemic. I put some microphones down and we just started rolling, And this weekend I'm gonna, I think, do my 300th episode, Yeah,
that's a big one.
Because I'm annoyingly consistent.
Yeah.
And we just hit 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's been fun, man. It allows me to connect with my community, and allows me to share that with others, from Legacy, tac fit, and just interesting people to me, So I look forward to having some, well-known guests in their fields, and it's about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, of course, fighting, of course,
of course,
the brain, and the just human potential, things that you can, just different tools, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite thing is human potential. Like, it's seriously insane with what you could do with even a year or two of your life. put everything aside and just dedicate yourself to just one thing that you want to be really good at, and you can do it.
Yeah.
And it's very inspirational. It doesn't matter what it is, whether it's podcasting, school, or wrestling, whatever it is.
Another thing too, like in 2012, I went in for like a routine medical, like every 5 years in California, they make you do a brain MRI.
Oh.
And they found these lesions, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, we can't let you fight anymore." And then they did more testing, and then they diagnosed me with multiple sclerosis. And it's like your immune system attacks the myelin. So if you have a nerve, right? So it's the coating of if it's like an electrical wire, like the rubber coating. So the signal doesn't get to the area, and you can lose your ability to speak, to walk, and just everything, you know.
Oh wow!
And so I think it was a way for me to be like, no, not to accept anything.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of it too. I just wanted to challenge myself.
Holy shit, that's a big one. That's a big challenge. How have you overcome that? Like, is it
I just do it, man. Just show up, you know, show up, and I use the love that I have from the people to overcome.
Yeah. Well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, you've been incredible. I've loved watching all your podcasts. I listen to as much as I can because obviously I'm indulged into comedy podcasts, everything.
Yeah.
But your show's been great.
It's been fun, man. I've got to, Hoist Gracie, Saulo Ribeiro. These are some of my he was my favorite, my GOAT.
Yeah.
And the fact that I got to talk to him for a couple hours and just, pick his brain. I learned all these things, and grapplers, wrestlers, it's amazing, man. I get to just sit down with them and
just
go a little deeper. Yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel now. I even get to pick your brain and pick the parts that I want to learn.
Yeah, we're hanging out. We're
having a good
stuff,
time. Yeah, exactly.
And then we're just sharing the time that we're sharing, right, with people. So it's amazing.
Well, I know earlier you said stem cells, and I want to get into that. Can you break that down for me?
Sure. As far like how it works.
Yeah. Everything.
Well, yeah. Basically, you get like these umbilical cord, like, and they harvest it. And they put it into your body, and depends how you get it, but let's say, for example, an IV, it just goes to wherever there's like inflammation, and it basically eats all the inflammation, and then actually helps your body heal, like actually grows tissue. Like, for example, if you get it into your spine or back, and actually helps it heal. Really? Actually grows new tissue. It's crazy.
I need to do that for my shoulder because I've had a dislocated shoulder.
I mean, even now, I got it. I made 100% recovery because
really?
My shoulder was really bad. I had a hard time sleeping and stuff for a minute. And then Eddie Bravo, like, it's like, dude, it's like, why wouldn't you do it? It's really easy, right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Cellular Performance Institute. They're actually the UFC's sponsor.
Yeah, sponsored.
Now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're right over the border at Tijuana.
Okay.
I'm right on the beach. I took my mom there because she's like, "Are we in Mexico? Are we in Mexico?" Or I was like, "Yeah, we're in Mexico."
Have you spent a bunch of time with Eddie Bravo? I know you mentioned him right now.
Excuse me.
You're okay.
Back in the day, I was friends with him.
Yeah.
He comes to the Acai jungle sometimes.
Yeah.
We shoot the shit. Yeah.
He's a trip.
Yeah.
I one time I went to 10th Planet, hopefully wanting to meet him, and I ended up doing it. And I saw him after class, and he was talking to a group of guys, and I was like, okay, let me go listen to what they're talking about. And one guy was talking about his phone. He's like, yeah, I don't keep my phone on me. And he goes, well, it doesn't matter. We're far past that. There's people on the moon. I can't even get into it with you, but they already know what's going on. They said your phone doesn't matter. Who cares about the detox? They're already in your brain. And I was like, what? But he's so far out there, but I love it.
We're in the Matrix, right?
Yeah. We got to break out the Matrix.
We're in the simulation. We live in a simulation.
Well,
according to Elon Musk, or the probability is very high, right? Like some ridiculous high number.
Yeah. What are 3 things you're leaving the Matrix with?
What am I leaving the Matrix with? Oh man, my family, my kids. That's number 1. Number 2 is like the people that really matter to me in my life. Like my close friends, and then, I mean, listen, if I have 3 things, if I can say like legacy and the community, but if that's one of the things, I would say that, the people, the community that I have with legacy and TacFit.
Are you big into music?
I like hip hop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wu-Tang, when I was in high school, they came out because I lived in New York, So I like music. Yeah.
What's your hype up song?
Hype up song? Oh man, I don't know. Like I like hip hop for sure.
Okay.
So like something with a good beat and something. I can't just say like a song. It depends on the day, on the year. It depends on the time. Depends what it is. But I just feel it, and then a lot of times I just put the song on repeat. To get me pumped.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the pod. You want to go ahead and shout out your pages, shout out your places? I know you got a lot of businesses going on.
Ah, man, like legacybjj.com. We're here in Burbank, Glendale, Pasadena, West Adams. We're growing a lot, actually in Armenia as well, and in Yerevan, and now even in Brazil. We're growing a lot. We have an amazing team, legacybjj.com, tacfit.com. Like, I have all your wellness needs. We're continually improving things. We have some great programs that will really like change your life. If you like good food and at a cool place, Acai Jungle Cafe, come check us out.
No, you absolutely do. But one last message before we go. Our proud sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by F3 Energy. It's got 0 calories, 0 sugar, and loaded with L-theanine and ginseng panax, a nootropic that sharpens your focus and mental clarity like never before. F3 is also packed with BCAAs to help your muscles recover faster. Whether you're hitting the gym, studying for exams, or you just need to stay sharp at work, F3's got you covered without any crash. Fuel your body, mind, and take your performance to the next level. Try F3 Energy Drink today. Fuel your future at f3energy.com. Available on Amazon, Walmart, and any Equinox gym near you. Check out their websites for any locations that carry it near you. Thank you for watching the podcast, and we'll have another episode very soon.